Hello everybody, this is Jeff Janess, and welcome to our second lab exercise on geoprocessing tools. Now, this series of lab exercises is going to explore some of the more commonly used geoprocessing tools, and we're going to show what they do to both the spatial geometries of features as well as the attribute values. And it's easy to see visually what the tools do to the shapes, but it's just as important to know what happens to the attribute values. Now, this particular exercise is going to look at the merge tool, which is a pretty simple one. It combines two or more feature classes into a larger feature class. The individual geometries of each feature class are left unchanged. The interesting thing with this tool is how it handles attribute values when the source feature classes might have different types of attributes. Now, the merge tool is actually really similar to the append tool. The main difference between these is the merge tool combines multiple feature classes into a new feature class, while the append tool adds feature classes to an already existing feature class. All right, let's get started on this exercise. First off, we want to make sure our default geodatabase is still set to our one that we created in the last lab exercise, and I can see it is. It has the little house next to it. All right, let's add a new map. Now we're going to add these four feature classes. They're all in the Dry Lake Hills workspace. So let's hit the Add Data button. It's in the Dry Lake Hills folder. Let's just add a background image just so we know where we are in the landscape. I'm going to add the National Geographic because I like that one. All right, so all around Flagstaff here. All right, first off, we want to take a look at the attribute fields. Now, we have four feature classes we're going to merge, and one of them is different from the others, and it's different in the attribute fields that it has. You can see it if you just open the attribute table, and you can see the fields up on the top here, but there's an easier way to understand what the attribute fields are. And that's if you select the layer, then you go to the Data tab, then you hit the Fields button. This will open what we call the Fields view. And this just describes the attribute fields of this feature class. So each field is described on a different row. So we have quite a number of attribute fields available in the Eastside Project Area feature class. So the homework question is, which of these four feature classes has only three attribute fields? It's clearly not Eastside Project Area, so it must be one of these others. So you just do what we just did with each of these other feature classes, and you'll figure it out pretty quick. All right, let's close that. Now we want to open and run the Merge tool. Go back to the Analysis tab this time, Tools. Open the toolbox. It's in Data Management Tools, in the General toolbox, and here's Merge. You might notice that the Append tool is also in the same place, but we're using Merge, so let's open that up. Now we want to merge these four feature classes. An easy way to get them is just grab them all and drag them in. We want to name our output feature class the merged project areas. So I'm just going to copy and paste. That goes right here. We also want to confirm here that we're going to our default geodatabase that we want. So make sure it's going there. You're going to have to turn in this geodatabase for part of the homework. So let's make sure we're getting it all in there. Now down here it's telling you what the attribute fields of the new feature class will be. And this number 3 means that there are 3 feature classes that already have this one. This one means there's 4 feature classes that have this one. So this section is telling us how the tool is going to combine feature classes and attribute values into the new feature class. All right, we just hit Run, goes to work. Okay, here we go. I'm going to close the originals. And now we have a single feature class that has all of the features from all 4 feature classes in there. Now notice the geometries are the same. It didn't do any kind of intersection or clipping or anything. The geometric shapes came through unscathed. But the attribute fields are something that's sort of interesting. We're going to open up the attribute table. And here are all the features that are in our merged feature class. So if you remember, one of those feature classes only had 3 attribute fields and the others had lots of them. You notice how it's sticking in all these null values for these first 3 features. Well, these first three features came from that feature class that only had 3 attribute values. So there were no attribute values to attach to them because the source didn't have that field, so it just stuck in null values instead. This is actually a good example of an advantage to saving to a geodatabase as well. If we had created a shapefile as our output, remember shapefiles can't contain null values, and so they would have had empty strings if it was a text field, and it would have 0 values if it was numeric. And those 0 values that are numbers would imply actual information about the data that wasn't there to start with. And so the shapefile would have been a bad place to go with this. All right, that's it. Thanks so much on Lab Exercise 2.